I'm gonna go out.
Well, we got hands up already. Huh?
I don't see any.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah. All right, we'll begin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the March 11th, 2021 remote public meeting of the City of Gloucester Zoning Board of Appeals. Consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 10 people, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The official meeting ID is 825-9585-9182. I recognize in attendance members of the board, myself, Joe Parisi, Vice Chair Catherine Schlichty, Adria Pratt, Peter Canavo, and James Gelati, which gives us 5 members, and I declare we have a quorum. Allison, did we get minutes from the 25th yet?
Yes, you have.
Okay, yeah, that was the ones we just got. So we'll go to approval of the minutes of the last meeting on February 25th, 2021. Are there any corrections or omissions? Hearing none, we'll have a motion to approve.
I move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Second, someone?
Second that.
Roll call vote to approve the minutes.
Ms. Pratt,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gelati,
Yes.
Ms. Slichty,
Abstain.
and Mr. Parisi.
Yes. Minutes are approved. One order of business, we've had a request for a continuation on the petition of Felicia Mohan and Patricia Shimataro, seeking a special permit under 1.9 to alter and expand the non-conforming structure, special permit of 5.24 accessory in-law apartment to allow construction of attached addition with living space to convert to accessory in-law apartment at 10 Harriet Road. I'll recognize Attorney Ellison. She on?
She's,
Yeah, she's there. Can you drag her in?
Good evening. For the record, Deborah Ellison, Ellison Law Office, 63 Middle Street, Gloucester. My clients are asking for a continuance to your next available meeting. The engineer has not been available this week, and we want to spend some time going over the plan with him before the hearing.
Okay. Allison, what do we have on 4.8 already?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We
I know
have
who-
7.
On the 8th?
Oh, on the 8th, we have nothing yet.
Well, on the 25th, I only show 5 in the packet. Is that? Or
No,
is it 7?
we have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep.
Okay, so we'll have to go to April 8th. I'll need a motion to continue.
I move we continue the 10 Harriet Road petition to April 8th.
Second, anyone?
Second.
Sorry. Second.
Okay, we have a motion made to continue to April 8th and seconded. Roll call vote.
Miss Pratt,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gelati,
Yes.
Ms. Slichty,
Yes.
and Mr. Parisi.
Yes. Okay, that's continued. First hearing of the evening is the petition of Phyllis A. Sudbey, estate seeking a variance under 3.2 front yard setback to allow the applicant to sell the property, a conforming vacant lot as a buildable lot. Lot has planned for single family home that requires variance to be constructed at 43 Farrington Avenue. Again, Attorney Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may share my screen.
Yes, please.
So the applicant tonight and the owner of the property is the Phyllis Sudbay Estate. It's the last piece of property that is part of this estate, and the children are seeking to sell the lot as part of the final distribution of the estate. David Sudbay is on the call as a representative of the family. The engineer on this project is Mill River Consulting, and Dan Ottenheimer is also on the call and available for questions. The property is located at 43 Farrington Avenue. The required front yard setback is 40 feet and the proposed setback is 10 feet. They are seeking a variance of 30 feet and all other setbacks will be met. The Sudbays are seeking to sell this conforming vacant lot as a buildable lot, and they have prepared a footprint of a single-family home with an attached garage. And the proposed location is within the front yard setback and a variance is required. As I said, all other setbacks will be met. It will be up to the future buyer as to what the actual design will be for the building. And if they have a design that does not fit within this footprint, they would have to come back before this board for further relief. We would like to have the lot approved for this particular layout. We believe it's a reasonable and mostly conforming layout. The lot itself is conforming. It's in the R40 zone where 40,000 square feet is required, and this is 46,219 square feet. The side yard setbacks are 30 feet, and it will be compliant at 32 on the right and 48 on the left. And the required lot frontage is 80 feet. It has 150 feet. It also has the required lot width of 150 feet. The allowed lot coverage is 25% in this district, and it is compliant at 5%. There is a substantial hardship on this lot. These are the existing conditions. This line here is the wetlands line. And you can see that at one point it is 13 feet from the front yard setback, and at another point it is 17 feet. So there isn't enough area outside of the setback for any type of a house of any size to be built, even though there's over an acre of land on this property. The abutter's correct in her letter to the board. It's mostly wetlands, and this does create the hardship, and that's why we're here. Any construction on the property is restricted to the front of the property. Although there are wetlands and buffer zones in this neighborhood, the wetlands on this property come much closer to the front of the lot than any of the wetlands or buffer zones on any of the other lots. I would also suggest that this can be granted without substantial harm to the public good and without undercutting the intent and purpose of the ordinance. Although it's closer to the front yard, it's designed to be within the setbacks on the side. Vegetative buffers are being proposed, and the houses on the neighboring lots, as you can see, are set farther back. So there'll actually be privacy for all of the lots because of the layout. For all of these reasons, I would suggest, and also that the rear yard, because it's wet, is most likely to remain undeveloped. For all these reasons, I suggest that the request meets the variance requirements, and Mr. Ottenheimer, as I said, is on the call if you have any specific questions about the site plan or the wetlands issue. And I'm happy to answer any questions also.
So I have a few.
Okay.
Have you been to conservation?
No. And Mr. Ottenheimer can step in on this if you would bring him in as a panelist. My understanding is that conservation likes to know where the location of the building is going to be before you go there. They like to be the last board to consider it.
Well, so my question then is, so there's a deck drawn on the back of the house. So if you're assuming you can build that far, then why does the house need to come forward 30 feet? Why can't it only be asked to come forward 20 feet? That would be my one question. And my other question is, there's no plan of the home included in the packet. When we vote a variance, we base the variance on what's going to be built. Now, I have a much different opinion about 10 feet from the street on a certain look and size house than I would on a blanket 30-foot tall box that could be built there if we granted this variance without knowing what kind of home. And then if the home wanted to be changed, the variance would have to be modified. So I was a little confused when I'm looking through the packet and I don't find a set of drawings for the home.
And with regard to that, Mr. Chairman, it certainly would be a much greater expense for the homeowners to go through with designing a home that a new homeowner might not like and might want a different design. With regard to the aesthetics of the house, obviously that's something that is not governed by zoning. The envelope of the house would be. So they would have to stay within the envelope, which would be the setbacks, front, rear, or the variance plus the side and rear setbacks. So that was our reasoning for not providing plans of a house. I would suspect if there were plans, they probably would end up being changed anyway. The family's not a
Right, but the variance would be tied to those plans.
well, the
I'm
variance,
not gonna, I personally, I'll tell you up front. I mean, I don't want, we'll continue with the meeting, but I'm not gonna vote a variance 10 feet from the street that could be a 30-foot tall square box like some of the other houses on that road. Blanket variance. I don't think we've ever done that, and I'll defer to others, but that was my first impression.
if Mr.
I just have a question. So the lot is labeled unbuildable because of the wetlands on it, because obviously it meets all the zoning requirements for a lot size. It's just the wetlands that have labeled it unbuildable?
I think there are two reasons for that. One is the wetlands, and secondly, previously there was no sewer. There is now sewer in the street, so that would allow for building without a septic system.
Okay.
I would
I
like,
guess,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I guess I somewhat agree with with the chairman. It's like, it's a little awkward to just do a box on the ground. And honestly, the entire house is in the front yard setback. So, and you have what, 17 feet till you hit the wetlands. I mean, could you push it back and put some of that house in its, so that the entire house, and so it's not a 30-foot variance? I mean, I understand the hardships that are on the lot, but it seems,
What-
to me, it just seems like a lot.
What I'd like to do is ask Mr. Ottenheimer if he can reply to that, because he did work with the family and did design the footprint. So there may be other reasons that I'm not aware of as to why
Mhm.
it's located here. Is he on the call? I can't tell from,
You'll need to pull your plans down
Yeah, we
for
can't
me
see
to
what
pull
the
anyone in.
screen.
okay, there you go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he's on. We can bring him in.
John Burns has raised their hand. Is
Well, we're not
Dan
taking public
Ottenheimer?
testimony
Okay.
at this moment.
I got him.
Yeah,
There we go. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Just want to check on the acoustics. Hello, Dan Ottenheimer, engineer with Mill River Consulting here in Gloucester. So to the 2 points,
Need an address, please.
certainly 6 Sergeant Street.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. To the chairman's question about the deck on the back, under the zoning ordinance, a deck is a structure, as you know, and it's considered with the same setbacks as the dwelling. Under the Conservation Commission thought process, a structure is an impervious surface and has a higher level of scrutiny than a deck, which is open and allows water to pass through. So there is a different lens that's looked at the Conservation Commission than it perhaps would be with a zoning board or under the zoning ordinance. And to Ms. Schlichty's question, you can see on the site plan, there are 2 points where the wetlands come closest to the street. So we did our best to design around that. The Conservation Commission would in no way, shape, or form be comfortable with a house that was right on the wetlands or even 3 or 5 feet away from it. So we attempted to strike a balance between the need for relief from this board and the need for permission from the Conservation Commission as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions at this time from the board?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman, but I'm not quite sure how we would, I agree with you, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure how we would vote on this if we don't have a set of plans, because the decision is based on the project plans and every decision references in accordance with the plans, but we don't have any plans. So it seems a little premature to grant something when we don't actually know what's going to be built there. So I have an issue with just granting a big blanket variance for this.
Mr. Chairman, it sounds like the board is concerned with not having elevations. As I said, I believe that it is permissible to go ahead this way with the site plan because of the circumstances, but what probably makes sense is for us to continue, and my clients can then consider whether they want to go through the expense of preparing architectural plans and go forward with the variance request based on those plans.
I'd like to ask Mr. Sanborn for a thought.
My thought on this would be is the lot has been, considered unbuildable for a number of years because it was wet. And also because being wet, that it would not allow sewer to be put on the septic system to be installed. My concern is that the lot is currently 70% wetlands. And in that neighborhood, there are no houses that sit in the front setback. And this would be practically sitting on the street. So those are just my concerns of this property.
But I'm looking to see if you have any opinion on, I mean, I don't remember us granting a variance without a structure that the variance is related to.
I believe Ms. Ellison's correct. The board could definitely grant the lot. We've done it in the past, granted variances to create buildable lots. But it's also within the purview of the board to know what they want to see built on that. So it's up to the board to decide this one, I believe. I think you could do either way, but again, I can see the board's point of not knowing what they're approving there.
Okay. So.
You want
We-
to continue to?
Maybe just to clarify, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if the board approves this with a set of plans, then you can approve what's going to be there. And if they decide, a new owner comes in and decides they want to change those plans, then the board would have a say over what would be there they'd have to come back before the board.
right, they'd have to amend the variance.
They'd have to amend the variance. If the board
That's what I
just
was
chose
expecting.
to agree the front yard setback, then somebody coming in to purchase could build whatever they wanted within the requirements, which could be a 30-foot high wall.
Yeah, because that would be my thing. I feel like we'd be approving something 1 inch tall. And if they wanted to build anything more than that, they'd have to modify the variance, which would make no sense. But I definitely wouldn't be comfortable saying, sure, 10 feet from the road, carte blanche, make it as tall up to 30 feet. I wouldn't vote for a plan. Don't come back with a plan that's 30 feet tall in a square box, because I wouldn't vote for that either, even if you do make the plans. But yeah, I think it needs to be continued. And if they want to proceed with the application, we need to approve what's going to go there, I would think. Does the rest of the members of the board agree with that?
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable knowing what, I think it would matter to me what I agree with Joe, if it was a 30-foot tall box, that I would not be so comfortable to approve wholly within the front yard setback versus maybe a kind of more modest sized structure. So yes, I would agree with you.
Yeah, I would also agree with that. Just something to see what the final plans are. I just don't feel comfortable saying, yeah, here, have at it. And then they build something that we would have never approved in the first place. That just worries me. So if we make it a condition that they have to come back and amend the variance to approve the specific plans, I feel okay about that.
Okay. So would you like a continuance?
It sounds like that would be prudent at this point.
Okay, I'll take a motion to continue.
Do you want to go to April 8th again or
Yeah.
the next?
Yeah, we don't have room on next.
I move we continue 43 Harrington Avenue to April 8th hearing.
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to continue 43 Farrington Avenue to April 8th. Roll call vote.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gelati,
Yes.
Ms. Slichty,
Yes.
Ms. Pratt,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We'll move on to our next hearing, the petition of Thomas G. Aurelio seeking a variance under 3.2 left side yard setback to allow construction of an outside kitchen, eating and seating area with a solid roof at 189 Atlantic Road. Attorney Ellison.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. If I may share my screen.
Yes, please.
The applicant, as you stated, is Thomas Aurelio, and he is also on the call. The architect on this project is Jason Gove, and he is on the call. The engineer is John Judd from Gateway Consulting, and he's unavailable tonight. The property is located at 189 Atlantic Road. Mr. Aurelio is seeking a 17-foot variance from the left side yard setback. And the setback requirement is 20 feet. All other setbacks are met. The house is currently conforming and will remain conforming. Mr. Aurelio is seeking to add an outside eating area to the back of his property. It will include an outside kitchen, an outside dining area, a seating area, and a jacuzzi. The dining area, the kitchen will have a closed roof with half walls around it. The dining area will have an open beam roof, and the seating areas and the jacuzzi are uncovered. The property presently consists of a conforming residential dwelling as well as a conforming lot. The project will create one new non-conformity on the left, and that is where the deck reaches into the setback. And the project, all other dimensions, as I said, will be met. This is an interesting lot. It's in the R20 zone, and you can see it has 26,016 square feet. The front of the lot on Atlantic Road is square. The side yard setbacks are 20 feet, and it's compliant on the right and will remain compliant on the right. It will become non-compliant on the left. The rear yard setback is 30 feet. It's currently 239 feet. It goes out to Harriet Road, and it will remain compliant at 203 feet. The lot frontage is 80, and the lot has 100.02 feet. It is also compliant with lot width at 100. Lot coverage allowed is 25%. It's existing compliant at 15% and will increase slightly to 19%. The height of the kitchen will be 12 feet 11 inches above average grade, and only the left side yard is impacted. Mr. Aurelio has spoken to his neighbors, his most immediate neighbors, and you have received letters from them in support. The neighbor closest at 191 Atlantic Road is in support of the variance. The neighbor at 38, which is across Harriet Road, is in support. Neighbor at 40 Harriet Road and the neighbor next door at 37 is also in support. Mr. Aurelio is not aware of any objections. The hardship has to do with the shape of the lot. The front, as I said, is fairly square, and then it narrows and goes out to a tail out to Harriet Road. The property has access both off of Atlantic Road and Harriet Road. The garage access is off of Harriet Road. And the house is set within this area and it meets all of the setbacks. You can see the left boundary goes in toward the right and creates the tail. And that's where the pinch point comes for the variance. The garage access, pardon?
No, I'm sorry. Let's keep going, Deb, sorry.
The garage access is here. So in order to maintain the garage access, the improved area has to be to the left and closer to the property line. Also, from a practical perspective, the kitchen is here in the existing house. And so it makes sense to have the kitchen cooking area to be next to the existing interior kitchen so things can be handed back and forth. That's just a practical reason. It's difficult on this particular lot, as you can imagine, to meet all of the setbacks. And it would be pretty much impossible to move it over and remain having the exact access to the garage. I would also suggest that this can be granted without substantial harm to the public good and without undercutting the intent and purpose of the ordinance. It's a common amenity in a residential area to have outside areas. Given the short summer season, people like to spend their time outside as much as they can. And it's become commonplace to have these types of kitchens, outdoor kitchens with outdoor dining spaces. And with COVID, we've all been spending a lot more time at our homes, and it's likely that's not going to end anytime soon. So there's another desire to have these types of amenities. There's only one encroachment into the setback. The closest neighbors have no objection. And for all these reasons, I would suggest to you that it meets the variance standards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
I'd like to open up to public testimony. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please raise your hand. I see none. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? I see none. There'll be no need for rebuttal. Discussion by the board.
I think it really looks like a lovely project, actually. I think with the, I would have been a little more concerned, but the neighbor that it's most impacting has no objection. And there is a lot of screening there, plants and screening. And I think it's a very nice project. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw the letter from the Canes next door, obviously they were the most impacted, and if they're fine with it, certainly meets the criteria for variance. So if anyone else wants to say anything, or we can go to a motion. Adria?
I'm in agreement. My only concern was the Canes. And I see they're in support, and it looks like everyone immediately around them is in support. So, and it does meet the requirements. So yeah, I'm fine with this.
All right. We'll have a motion.
On the petition of Thomas Aurelio seeking a variance for a left side yard setback to allow construction of an outside kitchen and eating and seating area with a solid roof at 189 Atlantic Road, I would move approval of the variance. I think the applicant has demonstrated a hardship owing to the shape of that lot.
I would second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the variance. Roll call vote.
Mr. Gelati,
Yes, for the reasons stated.
Ms. Slichty,
Yes.
Ms. Pratt,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes. I'd ask the Mr. Sanborn if he would stamp and sign those plans on our behalf. And Attorney Ellison, if you prepare a draft, we would appreciate that.
I'll do so.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All righty,
Thank you.
Good luck. Looks like a great project.
beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next on the agenda, the petition of Reed S. McGoldrick Revocable Trust 2020, seeking special permit under 1.9 to alter and expand a non-conforming structure, a special permit under 3.2 to exceed the maximum building height to allow construction of an addition over existing attached garage at 207 Atlantic Road. Mr. or Mrs. Breaker? Mrs. Breaker. You need to unmute.
I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes, name and address for the record, please.
Attorney Megan Breaker of Klein Gardner and O'Connor, 96 Middle Street, Gloucester.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is Reed S. McGoldrick, trustee of the McGoldrick Revocable Trust 2020. The applicant is seeking a special permit to alter and expand a non-conforming structure and to exceed the maximum allowable building height. The property 207 Atlantic Road is located in the R20 district. The property currently does not conform with the maximum allowable height. It is at 31.6. The property owner is seeking to add an addition to the second floor that would stay within that height. It would not go any higher. The proposed project will not create any new nonconformities. As you can see, the property also meets all other requirements. There are no other issues. The footprint of the house through this addition will not change. This is a modest addition. It's keeping in the style and character of the existing house and will give the property owners an additional space to accommodate their entire family, including the property owner's parents who are co-trustees of the trust, who spend their time between Florida and up here in Gloucester with their family. The project is keeping with the neighborhood and is not substantially more detrimental than the existing structure. My client spoke to some of her neighbors, and she did not hear that any of them objected. Although I did see that one objection was submitted to the board. There was a property owner at 19 Harriet Road who did last minute send my client a letter in support. I'd be happy to read that if, Mr. Chairman, you would like, but I did not get it in time. Open it up for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions by the board at this time?
I just have one question, Megan, so you have the garage, there's going to be a second floor. Is that deck that's currently between the house and the garage going to be removed and incorporated into that?
Are you talking about the white, the trellis piece?
Yeah, oh, that's a trellis. Okay, yeah.
Yes, so that will be removed, and then the deck will not be expanded. That's in front of the second story. That will stay where it is, but the trellis and a small portion of it will be removed for the addition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we could take some testimony from the public. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application, please raise your hand. If you're on a call in on a phone, you dial *9 to raise your hand. If you're on the Zoom, you just hit the raise your hand button. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the project? Please raise your hand. Anyone in opposition? I see none. There'll be no need for rebuttal. Discussion by the board.
I think it's a good project. I like like she said, I think it's pretty modest. I had no problem with it.
Yeah, I would agree. The way the other houses are set, nobody's really getting on each other's views or thoughts or whatever. And, it's basically
Right.
filling in the back. So and then up over the top. So, yeah, I thought it was a nice looking proposal to make some more room for family.
Right, and the 31.6 feet is just because it's matching the existing roof
Right,
line, correct?
it's not getting any taller.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I I would agree. I think it's a good project. I think too, with the trellis or being removed, I think that even adds a little extra sight line through that area. But I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a good project.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Yes. On the petition of Reed S. McGoldrick, Revocable Trust 2020, seeking a special permit to alter, expand a non-conforming structure and a special permit to exceed the maximum building height to allow construction of an addition over the existing attached garage. I think that there's, the existing nonconformity is the height, so I don't think this is, I do think it intensifies the nonconformity, so I think we need to grant the special permit, but I do not think that by adding a little more roof line to this, it's substantially more detrimental than the existing nonconformity. Therefore, I would vote yes on the special permit, and I think that the height, it's not overshadowing or really going to block any views. So I would think that you've met the requirements for a special permit for a height exception well. So I would move approval of both special permits.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion made and seconded to approve the two special permits to 207 Atlantic Road. Roll call vote.
Ms. Slippy,
Yes, on both special permits.
Ms. Pratt,
Yes, for both special permits.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gelati,
Yes, for both.
Mr. Parisi.
I vote yes also. Attorney Breaker, you've heard our decision is favorable. If you would
Thank you.
prepare a draft decision for us, we'd appreciate
certainly.
that and forward it into Allison on the
I
board
will.
for our review. And Mr. Sanborn, if you would stamp and sign those plans on my behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very nice packet you put together, Megan. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. David
Appreciate it.
help.
Very much appreciated.
Okay, our next application is the petition of Paula and Joseph Fallon, seeking a special permit under 3.1.5, a special permit for the division of certain lots to allow division of land with two existing dwellings into two lots with a dwelling on each lot at 69 Atlantic Road. Who do we have? Ms. Fallon? We're pulling you in and you could unmute.
Hello,
Okay, yes, you're unmuted. Name and address for the record, please.
69 Atlantic Road.
And your name?
Paula Fallon and my husband, Joe Fallon.
Okay, thank you. You can proceed.
Well, we're asking, I don't know if you can still hear me. Hello?
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
good. We're asking the board for this special permit. My family, my dad and mom bought the house almost 50 years ago. And we've been in Gloucester. I've been in Gloucester most of my life. And there's two separate parcels on one lot. One is the little cottage in back, and the larger main house is in the front. Now, the larger main house, my husband and I moved in here with my mom and dad when they became older, and they've since both passed. And we've kept the house running for about 2 years at this point. And, we have some rental income, and we also have some, but it's just really becoming too much for us to be able to stay here financially. And we're retiring at this point. And we would like to kind of downsize to the smaller cottage in the back and be able to sell this piece, the larger house, to be able to help us with some, remodeling of the cottage and possibly a small addition down the road. Our neighbors, we do have support from our neighbors, which is great. We really would like to be able to stay in Gloucester and have you approve this for us, that we can separate these lots and be able to stay. And I think that's it. I think we do have a neighbor that's here as well to speak on our behalf, Len and Lisa McGrath.
Okay, thank you. So in our ordinances, there is a provision for long existing multiple dwellings on one lot to be divided. And if they had met other criteria, they would go right through. But the reason they come to us is because they do leave a nonconformity. So we do have some discretion in how it's done. My question would be, I'm more to the board members, is the new lot line and where it came from. My only question was, it's pretty close to the cottage. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but.
We were just trying to give as much space to the larger house as possible. That's the reason.
If we're gonna span it, go backwards.
Yeah, I understand the goal. But we don't
The
want to, I'm trying to, what is it, 5 point something?
1.3 or something, is it 5?
3.15.
3.5.
3.5 feet.
3.1.5, yeah.
Oh, the section in the zoning ordinance. I thought you meant how close the lot line was.
No, I was talking about the,
I'm like, what are they saying?
oh, there's a provision for the division of the two lots. I had it, I looked it up this week and I had it, but
3.1.5.
no, that's the,
So
here we go.
can I ask Miss Fallon a question, actually, Joe, while
Sure.
you're?
Go ahead.
So your plan, which I understand it sounds like a good one, is to move to the small cottage. Do you foresee yourself, and it looks like the cottage is just a single story building. Do you foresee yourself like renovating this to make it so kind of more comfortable year-round home for yourself?
Yes. That's exactly what we would like to do. And possibly, put a small addition on maybe the back of it, or wherever it will fall in, in the space, just for our grandkids, because it's really too small. This house is way too big. The other house is a little bit small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to make one just right.
Just so
So,
everybody's on, I'm sorry,
go
on the
ahead,
same
Joe.
page, I just wanted to read that little piece.
And you
They may be
also
divided into lots of each of which one such building remains, provided, however, that in the event that one or more of such resultant lots does not comply with the requirements of this ordinance, in particular dimensional requirements, such division must be authorized by special permit issued by the Board of Appeals. That's why we're here. Upon a written determination that neither the proposed division of the original lot nor the proposed uses of the resultant lots will endanger public health and safety. So I think that's our only criteria. It just struck me that, you're leaving yourself so little. But I mean, I think you'll get a good number for the other house either way, but that's not our issue. Just was more.
Yeah, that would be my, just the 3.5 feet that you're giving yourself off the lot line is a little close. If you want to, I mean, if you're going to do anything to the cottage, you're going to have to come back for a special permit anyway, but.
And also maybe, we would have the option too, based on, down the road to move it as well, if that was going to be,
The
more
cottage.
Yeah, we'll just move the cottage.
Move it off the
lot
property
line. We could do that as well and come back to you, another, later.
The other thing, when you do sell off the front, your driveway actually isn't what's on the plan. It curves onto what's going to be the other lot. So you might want to make sure you have adequate rights of passage, because if you come straight out of the driveway, unlike you do now, there's a big piece of ledge there that you'd have to blast out. Because if you sold it and didn't allow yourself the right to cross over the other corner, So you just might want
Thank
to
you.
be cautious of that.
Thank you for that.
And your shed, we're not, it's not before us, but it isn't on the property. So if you ever do some moving around, we're not going to talk about it tonight. But if you ever do move to the house, you might want to move the shed. We're going to ask you then to move the shed back onto your own property. Okay?
Absolutely.
Tell them we'll probably be seeing you soon then.
Absolutely. We definitely would like to come back then and
Okay.
talk to you more about it.
We're going to go to public testimony. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of the application? If you're in favor, Len McGrath, bring him in to speak, please.
My name is Len McGrath. I'm at 67 Atlantic, and you can see that's probably the closest house to either the two buildings, the one that's proposed that they're going to be doing the original one. And I have no problem with it. These guys have been great neighbors, and I'm probably the only one that can really see it. You know what I mean? The rest of it's all shielded by trees, or they're up that non-passable road. So there's really not too many other people it would affect. And I'm fine with it.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Please raise your hand. Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, we'll move to a motion.
Okay, Mr. On the petition of Paula and Joseph Fallon seeking a special permit under 3.1.5 for the division of certain lots to allow the division of land with two existing dwellings into two lots with a dwelling on each lot at 69 Atlantic Road. Yeah, the standard is pretty much health and safety. And I don't think, you already have two buildings there. I don't think just drawing a line between them and creating two slots is going to create any health and safety problem. So I would move approval of the special permit.
So I'm very sorry to do this. Before I second the motion, where's their frontage going to be for the small cottage? On that private road?
No, because it doesn't meet any of the dimensional requirements, including frontage.
Right.
Special permit is allowing it. But it is surrounded by two other streets.
Yeah, Windermere.
So will the address change?
I would think.
Okay, all right. I second that motion. That's fine. Thank you.
The address, just to be clear, the address will change. They'll receive a new address and a new map and lot number after they go to the planning board.
Okay, that makes so much more sense. Thank you, Bill. Okay, sorry to interrupt, and I second the motion that Catherine just made.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve a special permit on the 3.1.5 for the division of lots at 69 Atlantic Road. Roll call vote.
Ms. Pratt,
Yes, I would vote in favor.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gelati,
Yes.
Ms. Slichty,
Yes.
and Mr. Parisi.
Yes. So you've heard our decisions favorable. I believe they would go to the planning board for this also, Bill?
Yes, and Steph will be at the planning board to do an A&R.
Okay. And so we will draft a decision and get that off to you. I asked Mr. Sanborn to stamp and sign those plans on our behalf. And
I will.
I'll put together a decision. All righty, you're all
Thank you,
set.
Joe.
Thank you all
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you very much.
you. We
Good luck.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy retirement.
Yeah. Try.
Last hearing of the evening is the petition of Robert and Charlene McKenzie, seeking a special permit under 1.9 to alter and expand a non-conforming structure. A variance under 3.2 for left side setback to allow construction of a new attached single bay garage at 188 Atlantic Street. Attorney Frontiero.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Did you hear the beginning? I said I was muted. I'm not sure, it just popped up on my screen.
Yeah, you were muted.
Okay, I'll start over. Sal Frontiero, 46 Middle Street, for the petitioners Robert and Charlie McKenzie. This concerns a property in the R20 zoning district in West Gloucester. The primary building was built in 1973, and as a result of that, any addition, the dimensional requirements will be governed by the R10 dimensional requirements, not the R20, according to 3.2 of the Gloucester zoning ordinance. The site consists of a 11,672 square foot parcel of land with a single family 2-story residence that's built toward the rear of the lot. The remainder of the site between the house and the street largely consists of driveway, patio, and a septic system as well. You can see me here, by the way. Oh, there I am, okay. And the site is non-conforming as to lot size, frontage, and lot width, and the home is non-conforming as to right and rear yard setbacks. The petitioners proposed just a modest 12 by 23 foot single-story garage addition to the left side of the house. It'll have garage bay doors in the front and the back. The area in question until fairly recently had a carport there. So that's why you'll see on the plan that the driveway kind of runs all the way through the garage. That's where the carport was. And as a result of this, it will create a left side yard setback encroachment for the very first time. So we need 2 forms of relief: a special permit to alter, expand a non-conforming structure, and a left side yard setback variance. As to the special permit, under the 2-tiered test for a single and 2 family, it's pretty clear, I think, that we are increasing the non-conforming nature of the property by creating an encroachment into the left side yard setback for the first time. So therefore, we have to go to the second prong of the test as to whether the proposed construction and the resulting house will be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing house. And again, here the addition is very small. It's single story. And under the present condition, if you look at the photographs that I submitted, you'll see on the left side, there's a little buffer of vegetation behind where the garage would be. But in the off season, when there's no trees there, I think you could probably have some headlights shining onto the neighboring lot. That will be eliminated completely with the garage. And also, most importantly, the neighbor most affected, which would be at 186 Atlantic Street, excuse me, has enthusiastically supported the project, and you will see a letter in the file in support from that neighbor. And for those reasons, it's a very modest garage, and the neighbor most affected is consenting. I don't think that you can find that this is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. So for those reasons, I'd ask that the special permit issue. As to the left side yard setback variance, if you, in the interest of time, I will skip over going over the elements of the of what we need for a variance, just jump into applying it. As to the hardship, there is a substantial hardship owing to the unique situation that pertains to this site. First off, the way the home is positioned on the lot towards the back, it leaves no area, very little area to build a compliant addition, and unless you would attach the garage to the front of the house, which would be odd to begin with. But in the front of the house, there's a large boulder. There's also septic system components that are right in the middle of the front yard area all the way to the house. So in order to build a garage there, not only would you have to comply with the setback requirements for zoning, you have to comply with the setback requirements of the septic system. Not my area of expertise, but I know they're either 10 or 20 feet depending on the component. So that would leave very little room on that side, on the left side, and on the right side as well. And also on the right side, in order to put a garage to the right side, you have to bevel the sort of the angle, because the house does not sit parallel to the lot line. So that would be very difficult to build. And again, I think any way you put it in the front of the house, you're going to run into an issue because of the septic system components. So really the only practical place that this garage can be placed is on the left side of the house. That's literally the only spot you could put it. And again, the area is already used for parking now. And I think relief could be granted without derogating from the intent of the zoning ordinance. Again, the neighbor most affected is consenting. I don't think this will have any effect on health and safety. I think it creates a better situation in a lot of ways, with the headlights not shining onto a neighboring property. And I also want to point out too, the neighbor's house is still some 30 feet away, so it's still substantially far away from this addition. to the neighbor that consents. And also, the construction won't block any views. It won't overshadow anything. It's going to be very small, and it won't really have any effect on the neighborhood whatsoever. And I do want to, and so we're requesting for a variance of 5.6 feet. And I do want to point out, when you did a site visit, you might have noticed some trees cut down on that side. That was not a presumptuous move by the applicant. They're actually putting a fence up, so that's beyond the garage. So I just wanted to point out, if you did see trees cut down, freshly cut down, that was a reason for that. So for the foregoing reasons, I believe we have satisfied the standard for a variance, and I would request that the variance be granted in the special permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions at this moment? Go to public testimony. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Please raise your hand. Anyone in favor? Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone in opposition? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, no need for rebuttal. We can move to discussion or motion.
Yeah, I don't see any, I mean, there's a lot of room still, even though in the setback, side yard setback, there's still a lot of room between that garage and the neighbor's property, you know, or the neighbor's structure. And I think that was a lovely letter that the neighbor wrote in support of the application. And so I don't see a problem with it, actually.
Yeah, I would agree. My only concern, and I do understand there's not really anywhere else on the lot you can put the garage. I do think it's modest in size, which is appreciated. And my only concern was the Lawlers to the left. And like Catherine said, she wrote a very, very nice letter in support. So that problem has gone away from me. So I'm in support.
I agree. Anytime a neighbor is in support, it just makes the decision a lot easier. So yeah, I'm in support as well.
All righty, we'll need a motion, one motion on the special permit and the variance.
On the petition of Robert and Charlene McKenzie seeking a special permit to alter and expand a non-conforming structure, and the variance for a left side yard setback to allow construction of a new attached single bay garage at 188 Atlantic Street. I would move approval of both. I think on the special permit, yes, I do think it intensifies the nonconformity. So I do think a special permit is required, but I don't think that it is substantially more detrimental than the existing nonconformity. So I would vote in favor of the special permit. And I think, you know, I was questioning the hardship, but I think you made the case, Sal, that there is a hardship with the boulder, the placement of the house and the septic system. So I do think there is a demonstrated hardship on the lot demonstrating the variance. So I would vote yes in favor of both of those requested relief.
Motion made on both.
And seconded.
Made and seconded. Roll call vote, which will cover both the special permit and the variance.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes, in favor of both.
Mr. Gelati,
Yes, for both.
Ms. Slickby,
Yes, for both.
Ms. Pratt,
Yes, in favor for both.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes, also for both. So, Attorney Frontier, you've heard our decision. It's favorable. If you could prepare a draft. And Mr. Sanborn, if you'd stamp and sign those plans on my behalf.
We have, and you have 6 matters on, and you're done by 8 o'clock.
I know. Best year ever. He moves these along.
Catherine couldn't go any longer, so.
That's right. I'm on a limited time frame here.
It's the sciatica, right? All right.
That's right. Still there.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else anyone needs to bring up? Next meeting?
Yes, I have something I would like to bring up.
Sure.
James, is your last name not Gigliotti?
Gelati.
Oh, Gelati?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
Gelati. Yeah,
Gelati.
Catherine, we struggled enough with my last name for the past almost 2 years.
It took a
Let's
I
year
was
jump
about
on
to
those,
give
all right?
Bill grief saying you're butchering another member's name.
Oh, he's got it right. Yeah.
Listen, I got that one right and I'm sticking to it. I'm taking credit. I worked hard to get that one right.
Right.
I mean, Bill
Okay,
still
good.
refers to me as Mr. sometimes, so, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
That's just my accent.
packets were ready last week. I don't know if everybody's got theirs for the 25th, but again, another full agenda. Doesn't seem to be any let up, but we'll just keep plugging away. I appreciate everybody's participation.
Yeah.
Mr.
it'll be
Chairman?
busy.
Yes,
Do we have someone to write 69 Atlantic?
yeah, I am.
I didn't hear that.
said it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
All righty,
right.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Made and seconded, roll call vote to adjourn.
You're muted.
Miss Slickby,
Yes.
Miss Pratt,
Yes.
Mr. Canavo,
Yes.
Mr. Gigalone, I'm Gigalone,
There it is.
Sorry, Bill, I jinxed you.
Yes.
Mr. Gelati,
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes.
You jinxed me.
We
You're
are
doing
adjourned.
so good.
Adria, thanks for making it back to town, and Catherine for
course.
being able to be on. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you very
I
much,
appreciate
Catherine.
Good night,
All
everyone.
right.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank
Hi,
you.
guys.
Better,
Bye.
Catherine. Heal up.
Feel better, Catherine.
Thanks, you guys.
Good night.